Hello and welcome to another edition of the Academy. Last week on the Academy, we looked at the importance of budgeting and saving for entrepreneurs, as well as the opportunities available for women entrepreneurs in the financial sector. On this week of the Academy, we are going to be looking at 5C's debt providers look for when giving loans to entrepreneurs. Speaking on this at the just concluded Tony Elumelu Entrepreneurship Program Bootcamp 2015 is the Head of Finance and Investment, Head Holding, Mr. Sam Nwanzi. Do enjoy it.
There are 5 things, in summary, there are 5 things that a debt provider or somebody who gives you a loan is looking for. 5 things. In banking, we call it the 5C's. Number 1 is looking for capacity. Capacity simply means, does this business have the ability to pay back the loan? Remember, when you give a loan, I said a loan has a tenor, it will be paid back at a particular day, and it has a price. So if you came to me for $100,000, I would want to know when you will give me my $100,000 back, and there is a price for that $100,000, which we call an interest rate. You need to be sure that your business has the capacity to pay the price for the $100,000 and to pay back the $100,000 at the end of the tenure. If your business does not have that, the person you are going to meet for a loan will not give it to you. So when you are thinking about that financing, one of the first things you think about is, does the business have the capacity? And oftentimes the business may not have the capacity for the whole $100,000, but it may have the capacity for 50. So you need to actually do your homework and say, what capacity does this business have to take a loan? Because that's what the person you are going to meet will be looking out for. The other thing they will look out for is capital. Capital relates to how much risk are you as the entrepreneur also taking? You know, if you go to meet somebody for money and all you have is an idea, you've done nothing. You were sleeping in the night and, an angel appeared to you and showed you some new stuff in the technology space, and you woke up in the morning and you wrote it down. This is a great idea. And you walk up to a financier and said, I was sleeping in the night, an angel came and showed me this idea that will, generate, hundreds of millions of dollars in the first year. And you have no skin in the game. The debt provider will not give you money. And skin in the game, many entrepreneurs often miss this. Skin in the game, oftentimes we think that is only in form of the cash that you bring. Of course, the cash that you bring is important, because somebody who you are borrowing money for, if he sees that your own cash has also gone into the business, he knows that you will do anything to make sure the business succeeds. Because if you don't, you will lose your own money, right? So it's important that when you are going to that lender, that you show him that I have my skin in the game. If this business goes down, I go down as well. He needs to understand that you are committed, both in form of cash, but also in form of the time, the effort, and all that you are putting into that business. That is what capital is, what you bring to the business, what you bring to the company. They will be looking out for it. So it's important that you have that when you are approaching a lender. The third thing is collateral. And collateral is an issue, especially for SME, for small businesses. People who are starting off, who have no collateral. One of the principles in lending is that you must have collateral, which is like a fallback position for the person who is providing you funds. But the truth of the matter is that for businesses like ours, for businesses that are starting up, there oftentimes is no collateral. And so what you find that is taking place in the market is you have new models that are coming up. If you go to the sites of like the IFC and a couple of banks, they are beginning to set up what are called SME banking models that can lend you money without necessarily relying on a collateral. However, they will rely on other forms of collateral that gives them a similar comfort. And we can look at that in more detail later on. The other thing is conditions. Now, conditions has two aspects to it. And these are the things you need to have as a war chest when you are going to look for this debt. The conditions are one, they want to know what the conditions in the environment that you operate in are like. You know, it's okay to have an idea that is great. But it's another thing to know that the entrepreneur has assessed the market to understand how best to execute that idea. Right? So the conditions of the market, the conditions of operating the market is an important aspect that the lender will look at in order to give you those funds. And then the other aspect of conditions relates to the terms of the loan itself. That is, you know, what is the interest rate, when are you going to pay it back, and all of that. And then the last thing, and probably one of the most important, especially for us who are, for someone like our investment company, is the character. Is the character. You know, ultimately, when an investor invests, he's investing in a person. You know, companies in and of itself, the life of a company is the human resource, right? It's the people in the company that make a company. That's why when you say a company and you try and describe the culture of a company, you eventually narrow it down to the people and how those people behave and interact. And so it's important for somebody who you are going to meet for a loan to see that you have the right character. And when we say character, we are talking about a number of things. One is that you are trustworthy, you are a person of integrity, but also another important thing is that you have demonstrated the ability and track record in some form or the other to be credit worthy. And that's why, have you noticed when you're trying to open a bank account, the banks will ask for a number of things. They will ask for your utility bills. They will ask for your utility bills. How much are you paying on, you know, have you been paying your bills? The reason why they're asking for that is they're trying to test, does this guy pay his bills? Because ultimately, that's what it boils down to when you lend. So the character is important. You have to demonstrate that you have a track record that is credit worthy. Yeah? So those are the important things you need to put in mind when you're talking about debt.
To get that loan approved, you need to have the capacity, the capital, the collateral, the condition, and the character, according to Mr. Sam Umanzi. Well, that brings us to the end of another episode of the Academy. I'm sure it has been a very interesting one for you. Don't forget to keep the date with us next week on the Academy, and join us on our social media platforms, Facebook and Twitter. So then, thank you very much for watching once again, and bye for now.